Friends, we have this beautiful speaker, and I would like to introduce, when I asked him, he is Sultanuddin Yusufi, and I'm calling him Sultan. Originally, he's from Afghanistan. He migrated to Pakistan in 1996 in Karachi, where he started to learn English, Urdu, our tariqa. And then we all know that very many Afghan Jamaat moved to Canada, and he was one of the blessed ones. He moved to Canada in March 2002. And he's been working there and living with his family. And Alhamdulillah, he has learned about our knowledge. And when I asked him, how do I introduce you? And Alhamdulillah, he says, I'm not a scholar, nor I'm a missionary. I'm just a humble servant of Imam. So here we have this humble servant of Imam, who is such a well-spoken, fluent, beautiful speaker. We'll all be amazed. So he is going to talk about standard of health from the Book of Healing. And you all have received the PDF and the audio of that chapter. So I hope that you've studied that and you're going to enjoy this session. We are grateful to you, Sultan, for taking out your time to help us learn. Thank you so much.
Yalimat. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. My humble shukur gratitude to you all. First of all, as it was mentioned, I'm not a missionary or otherwise. I'm not a scholar. Don't have any degrees. But with Mawla's help, inshallah, we're going to talk about something. The niyat, our intention is that may Mawlana Hazrat Imam run this session the way he wants, not the way we planned it. That's my intention for this. And let's say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. May Mawla help us. Please help us that all of us want to learn about the ilmul yaqeen, about the standard of health, ultimately, which is about qalbi salim, aqli salim. Before starting this, I would like to mention that a story somebody mentioned in the headquarters Jamaat here in Calgary a few years ago about the Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah alayhi entering a Jamaat Khana in India. When Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah entered the Jamaat Khana in old times, he would go to places, and here there's a Muki Sahib, Kamga Sahib, and all the Jamaat there. So Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah alayhi asked the Muki Sahib that Muki, in this Jamaat Khana there is Darbar, and the other Jamaat Khana at this time there is time for dua, and in the other Jamaat Khana, meaning the third Jamaat Khana, there is a waz going on. So where would you take the Jamaat to? Which Jamaat Khana? And Muki Sahib said that Khudawand, I will take the Jamaat to the word that is the Darbar. Then Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah replied, said, no, Muki, take the Jamaat to where is the waz is happening, to that Jamaat Khana. Yes. So the Jamaat would understand the meaning of Darbar. If they don't know the meaning of Darbar, there's no benefit of being in the presence of the Darbar. So by this, we know that Mumini and Muminat, that the importance of ilmul yaqeen, of knowledge, whether it's about Darbar or anything else. So our humble request and intention is such that may Mawlana Hazrat Imam, our beloved Hazrat Imam alayhi salam, help us understand the standard of health in qalbi salim or aqli salim. As we most likely have heard that Mawlana Hazrat Imam on many occasions has mentioned that our religion is a religion of intellect, or intellect development of faith is another facet of intellect. What that means, intellect being another facet of faith, or faith another facet of intellect, two sides of the same coin. That means the stronger the intellect, the stronger the faith. The stronger the faith, the stronger the intellect. This cannot go one way. Like somebody cannot say that I have strong faith without having a strong intellect. And intellect, we know that in Arabic is called aql, and the food for the aql is ilm. Ilm gives strength to the intellect. And once we know that intellect is the most precious thing, the most precious gift from Allah to the humankind, and that being on darajat, on different ranks, different levels, that means spiritual or intellectual health is on different levels. Let's try to understand from this. Once I read that book, The Standard of Health, there's diagram, there is other information there, and we need to keep in mind that this book was written in reference to other faiths or communities too. So they're going to read it. They will have access to it. So for us, it's important to study this from an angle or a smiley faith. How do we read this? So the central point, what I found out is qalb salim, aql salim. So let's focus on that. Qalb is being the most important part, as if you will, when it comes to the faith or to the zikr of Allah. Qalb is something or heart that it's in the focus of attacks of shaitan too. It's in the Quran that shaitan is going to attack from the in front, from the back, from the right, from the left, and the headquarter. Let's not forget that. Yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas min al jinnati wan nas. That is going to cause negative thoughts, insinuations. Where fi sudurin nas. Sudur is the plural of sadr. Sadr is qalb. So this is the headquarter. This is the main gate. If we lose the battle in the headquarter, all the other defense lines fall apart. This is very important. This is the focus of attacks of shaitan. At the same time, this is the focus of the education of Rahman. Ala bi zikrullah tatmainul qulub. So this qalb, when we talk in the language of faith, in the higher language of faith, qalb salim is equal to aql salim. There's no difference between that. Okay, in order to understand this term better, and it gives us a sort of understanding of our intellectual standard of health and a spiritual standard of health. Let's go through this, that the Qazi Nu'man, based on Qazi Nu'man's teaching or interpretation of faith, there are three types of iman, faith. So we understand this as another facet of intellect. Iman naqis, iman raji, iman kamil. Naqis, all humankind is born with that aql gharizi, if you will. That aql, that intellect which is nourishable, could be nourished and developed into aql iman raji. Raji, if you will, this is based on the lecture of Dr. Faqir Muhammad Unzai Sahib. That Raji is from like Rujhan, with tendency to learn more and more, moving away or developing out of naqis towards the kamil. This is iman raji. But there's numerous ranks at each level. Then the third one is iman kamil. So let's remember that iman naqis, iman raji, iman kamil. That iman kamil is equal to qalb salim, aql salim. These are just examples, different examples demonstrating the same reality. So iman kamil, qalb salim, aql salim. Now, intellect with reference to the people at different levels. So there are different levels of intellectual health. Thus, they are at different spiritual health. How do we get in spiritually and intellectually healthy? How do we level up our soul and intellect and get closer to qalb salim? Well, let's remember our dua too, that we say, Allahumma ya maulana anta salamu wa minka salamu wa ilayka yarji'u salam hayyina rabbana bisalam wa adkhilna dar salam. If you may allow me, I humbly would like to share one point about this right from the Surah Al-Fatiha, because it's called Surah Al-Shifa, the Surah of Health. and make a connection with what Maulana Azim Imam says. Well, when it comes to practicing our faith, Azim Imam mentions that there's no in and out is not acceptable when it comes to practice of our faith. In Islam, in and out is not acceptable. What that means in the language of Quran. In the language of Quran, right from Surah Al-Fatiha, there is Ihdina Surat al-Mustaqim, Surat al-Lazina an'amta alayhim. So either it's this group, which is an'amta alayhim, in this group category has four like in this group there is four subcategories, if you will: Nabiyyin, Siddiqeen, Shuhada, Salihin. And the fifth one is Tabi'in or Muti'in, those who do these prayers. Ihdina Surat al-Mustaqim, Surat al-Lazina an'amta alayhim ghayr al-maghzub alayhim wala zalim. So what Maulana Azim Imam says that when in Islam, when it comes to practicing our faith, in and out is not acceptable. So let's take it, if we are in, we are praying that we should be included in that an'amta alayhim. There's no neutrality, there's no wall to be on the wall. It's out. Well, two other groups, ghayr al-maghzubi wal zalin. So what Azim Imam demands of us, or require when it comes to practicing our faith, it says in and out is not acceptable. So we always may pray that we may be kept inside, not outside, because when we go outside, that blessings of spiritual blessings and nurani or aqli, intellectual blessings, stops because we went outside. So we need to stay inside. Let me let's make another connection that Maulana Azim Imam recently in recent farmans and Diamond Jubilee farmans says that all of your da'is, we're going to talk about this, but at the same, in the Diamond Jubilee farmans also Maulana Azim Imam says that I want my leaders in the Jamaat to guide the Jamaat on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. These are although Azim Imam says in a soft spoken language, but in easy English, but these are the things of highest ta'aleem, if you will. That sets the new standard of health for our spiritual and intellectual health. These farmans. Who is a da'i? Based on the Pir Nasir Khusraw's prediction, out of the 5 ranks, like Asas, Imam, Bab, Hujjat, Da'i. The lowest of that 5 is Da'i, through which people would be able to recognize the truth. That's what the Qaim alayna salamahu. What now in the Surah Al-Fatiha, at the same time, we also say that Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, when we say Ihdina Surat al-Mustaqim, if we look at the Surah Al-Fatiha, our prayer is from Rabbul Alameen, so that Rabbul Alameen would guide us, do the hand holding on Sirat al-Mustaqim and walk us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, on his path of Nur. Here, Maulana Azim Imam, we're talking here in the language of haqiqat, not shari'at. So let's be straightforward, not to waste time. Who is Rabbul Alameen? Well, based on the ta'wil of our peers and hujjats, the Imam of Islam is Rabbul Alameen. But here, Maulana Azim Imam gives indication that I want my leaders in the Jamaat to guide the Jamaat on Sirat al-Mustaqim. This is the new requirement standard of a spiritual and intellectual health of the leadership. So there should be at least all of us. This would mean the same thing. This, that the leader should guide the Jamaat on Sirat al-Mustaqim, or all of your da'is. That we need to be at that understanding level, at that spiritual and intellectual health, so that not only the rest of the Jamaat, our spiritual brothers and sisters, but also the humankind might need to be shown the path, the Sirat al-Mustaqim. What Maulana Azim Imam alayhi salam said in these farmans, we may not understand right now, but maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what Maulana Azim Imam said about Da'i, this is a big, this is a highest level of education, if you will, ilmul yaqeen, the fresh ilmul yaqeen. We don't know what the future will bring, but Maulana Azim Imam is beyond time and space. This is from the dahr, from la zaman and la makan, spacelessness and timelessness. Space and time is not an issue for the Maulana Azimam alayhi salam. What our peers and hujjas say, they say based on haqqul yaqeen. It's not like a scientific method that they would do some experiments, then comes with the same conclusion to make that a scientific law or formula. It's not that Maulana, in the meaning that Maulana Azma is not in spirituality or intellectuality. It's not that the way Maulana Azma makes farmans, that Maulana Azma would do some kind of experiment in spirituality and Rouhaniyat and come up with some kind of conclusion that all of you are da'is. No, no. It's pure with in the light of haqqul yaqeen, iman kamil, aql salim, qalbi salim. So this sets a standard of health, spiritual and intellectual health for us. It may be not right now, but in future. That's that will be the requirement of the Jamaat. That's the prayer of Maulana Azman for us, that we should level up our spiritual and intellectual health to that level of a da'i. Since aql or intellect is on darajat, you may refer to the chapter 12, verse 76. And one more thing to just remember about Aql Salim or Qalb Salim, that's the essence of that standard of health in that book of healing. And indeed, if we understand this topic, this is the qalb of the whole book, of that book of healing, if you will. And Salim on the pattern, if we have a little bit of understanding of Arabic, Salim is on the pattern of fa'il, means fa'il. That means a subject, like the agent who does the job. So Salim on the pattern of fa'il means fa'il. Thus, the Imam of the time, who is the Qalbi Salim, who is the Aqli Salim, not only himself is the Qalbi Salim or Aqli Salim, but he makes the other hearts or intellects Qalbi Salim and Aqli Salim. Qalbi Salim and Aqli Salim, or that piece, that Kamil Iman, if you will. This is subhanAllah, one of the greatest teachings in our, this is the beauty of our mazhab. How lucky we are. In the Surah 12, verse 76, Allah Ta'ala says, Narfa'u darajatim min man nasha'u. Narfa is from Raf'at. You see, from this is Rafi'ud darajat. So Narfa'u, we level up, or we uplift darajatam, darajat man nasha'u, the darajat, the ranks of the one we want. Wa fawqa kulli zi ilmin alim, and above every dana, alim, there's another alim. Above every learn, there's another learn. And Allah Ta'ala's name says He's the Hakimi Mutlaq, He's the Danai Mutlaq, He's the absolute, He's the all-knowing, He's the absolute Hakim. And there is every other, all the intellects on darajat. If all the intellects on darajat, so the standard is numerous. Right from that, the rank of a mustajib, who has just accepted the like Iman in Naqis, if you will. Right from that rank all the way to Imam al-Islam himself. But since he is Qalbi Salim, Mukammal, he's a perfect man, so by definition, based on Sayyidina Al-Mu'id Fiddin Shirazi, that who is the perfect man, or translating this perfect man into today's topic, who is the Qalbi Salim? Who is the Aqli Salim? The Imam of the time. So by definition, he is perfect by himself. It also makes the others perfect. Kamilun fi zatihi wa mukammilun li ghayrihi. And when it comes to Qalbi Salim, in the Quran, it is that يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالًا وَلَا بَنُونَ, the day when there will not be anyone, wealth or children, that will benefit anybody. إِلَّا مَنْ آتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, but only one who comes to Allah with a sound heart, بِقَلْبِ Salim. That means there is no other way. There's only one way to go to Allah. That's with Qalbi Salim. And that qalbi salim, that's the target of Rahman, that's the target of everybody. That's the, even, and I don't have much knowledge about medical science or anatomy, but even in the body of human body, the qalb is such that without the qalb there's no life. It's all the time, at all times, you keep pumping blood, or the nutrients get to every part of the body. The same way qalbi salim transcends every single intellect, especially mu'mineen and mu'minat. We cannot have all these talks, we cannot have this faith without that qalbi kainat, the heart of the universe, which doesn't pump the blood, it pumps, transcends luminously, spiritually. It's all reaching, all encompassing. The way that nur works, it's we cannot describe it in words, but looking at the human body, how the heart in a human body works, it's all the time functioning, it's pumping life. The same with the whole universe. Doesn't matter where is the Imam, our beloved Hazrat Imam, alayhi salam, where he is physically, it doesn't matter. Since he is the qalbi salim, he is the qalbi kainat, he's the qalbi of a universe. And especially the special way, all the universe is alive, that's for sure, but the special way for the mu'mineen mu'minat who stays in, not out, because this is our prayer, that we stay in that group of an'amta alayhim. That way the distance doesn't matter, time doesn't matter. All the time that the waves of spiritual and luminous food, if you will, subtle spiritual luminous food, all the time reaches the mu'mineen and mu'minat's heart and soul. It never stops. If it stops, everything stops, shuts down. So based on that physical thing, because there's an hadith that inna Allah asasa dinahu ala misal khalqihi liyustadala bi khalqihi ala dinihi wa bidinihi ala wahdaniyatihi, that Allah tabarak wa ta'ala put the foundation of his khalq on the example of his the misal, the example of his deen, on the basis or foundation of his khilqat, so that people would seek that reality out of that and reach and to understand his religion, and from his religion would get the reason for his wahdaniyat. Let's bring everything that wahdaniyat unity to qalbi salim in today's topic, because there's too many examples. The reality is the same. You could call it qalbi salim, aqli salim, you could call it ganji makhfi, the hidden treasure. Because examples should not, in our tariqah, based on the teachings of our peers and hujjats, especially in the light of the freshly teaching ilmul yaqeen, let's not be mistaken that the reality is the same. There's too many names because of too many examples, for too many barakat from all angles. We got to understand this. And let's continue on, please. So it's a tata is qalbi salim, this perfect health, intellectual and spiritual health to the highest rank. If you make another, I would like to make another connection. Let's say in this world we have this Facebook, where everybody uploads their pictures on the Facebook. Is there such thing in that spiritual world or intellectual world? In the divine world, in the language of Quran, there's Surah Rahman, if you will, that divine Facebook, if you will. Make the connection, especially with the young people of today's technology generation. But uploading your picture, your spiritual intellectual picture, requires to level up to that qalbi salim, so that you would be able to upload your spiritual and intellectual picture to that level. Otherwise, it's not possible. And when it comes to Hazrat Ibrahim al-Salam, and this Quran in the mention that is ja'a rabbuhu bi qalbin salim, that Hazrat Ibrahim al-Salam came to his Rabb with his qalbi salim. And if we know Hazrat Ibrahim al-Salam had the title Muwahhidi Azam, the greatest monotheist, if you will. That concept has been changed, updated in recent, based on the Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawat's teaching. Even there's Shah Kalim al-Husseini as Imam in the Toronto's Farman that says that my leaders in the Jamaat should be able to guide the Jamaat on Sirat al-Mustaqim. In Surah al-Fatiha, it's about the Rabbul Alameen to guide us on Sirat al-Mustaqim. But here, Maulana Azam removes the layers graciously. He says that, look, we need to come up, we need to level up our spiritual and intellectual health to that level that what tomorrow our Jamaats come from China, other parts of the world, all that we need to, and Maulana as Imam gets based in the, this is my humble understanding, that in the more the people realize the truth, and the office of Imam, the Imam of the time will be busy, and who is going to be there to help the Jamaat to understand what's Sirat al-Mustaqim? What about in tomorrow's, because this knowledge, this ilm al-yaqeen is just not for the Jamaat. It's not for a selected group. In the hadith it is said, al-khalqu iyalullah, that all the creation is iyalullah, the family of Allah. Not the smiley Jamaat iyalullah, not that selected limited group iyalullah, no, al-khalqu iyalullah. So this knowledge is for everybody, for the whole humankind. And it's going to reach them because Allah had made this promise that وَشَقَّتِ الْأَرْضُ بِنُورِ رَبِّهَا سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ, that He's going to show His signs in the afaq and in their anfus, and their souls, so that it becomes clear for them that He's the truth. When Allah has made that intention, the job is done already in the alam amr, but in the alam khalq, it's going to take time. So we need to understand this topic of qalb salim, aql salim in the light of today's Farman Mubarak, that in the light of Diamond Jubilee Farmans, that we as Ismail, if the murids of the Imam of the time, we're so lucky, so blessed, that everything has been given to us based on the language of the Quran. وَأَعْطَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ سَأَلْتُمُ. In the Imam of the time, we need to find the proper channel. We need to find that proper language, how to reach it, how to access it, how to get blessed through from this aql salim, from this qalb salim. We need to develop that kind of understanding, how the spiritual world, how the spiritual particles or intellectual particles work. The more the desire, the pure desires, our intentions develop. Maulana Hazrat Muhammad says, you, my beloved spiritual children, you are in my thoughts, in my heart, in my prayers. It's not just the words. Doesn't matter how big, how huge is this universe, because spirituality and intellectuality is beyond time and space. Everything is right there for the Imam of the time. Not only that, but those who reach this qalb salim or aql salim, is the same features. That's what my beloved spiritual children mean. If you'd like to make connection with the hadith, what does my beloved spiritual children mean, let's refer to the hadith Qudsi. Ya bani Adam ati'ni aj'aluka misli. All the children of Adam of the time, let's talk in the language of haqiqat, not shariat. In the language of haqiqat, Ya bani Adam ati'ni aj'aluka misli means all the children of the Adam of the time. Listen to my farmans. If you want to level up, if you want to uplift your spiritual and intellectual health, so that you become that zinda, hayyan la tamutu, azizan la tazil, that mighty, that zawal, or there wouldn't be any downfall, and ghaniyan la taftaqir, that rich in spirituality, in the spiritual and intellectual health, that no sickness would come to you. In order to understand our health, spiritual and intellectual health, also we can examine the physical health. Today's on the mind of everybody around the globe is this coronavirus. If that coronavirus causes that disruption, a lot of sickness, what about some kind of a spiritual and intellectual virus that people might be sick? Most people might be. Honestly, humble is my humble understanding. All of us, to our own level, are sick. In reference to higher level, we're sick. In reference to lower level, we're not. Now, Maulana Hazrat Imam is the perfect health, the Aql Salim, Qalb Salim. He wants the whole universe to be healthy. But let's talk about humankind. Who has access to Imam after time to that Qalb Salim directly? Not a lot of people, not even all Ismailis. So tomorrow, if the demand rises about this understanding all this faith, Qalb Salim, Aql Salim, spiritual health, spiritual intellectual health, or spiritual and intellectual health, or vaccines, because we could get really seriously spiritually and intellectually sick. So there is medicine, because he's Tabibi Asmani, he's a heavenly physician. But who is going to be qualified, at least the least qualified? Where we get sick, we go to the hospital, to clinic, the nurses administer all this vaccine, all that. Spiritually and intellectually, who is going to be the least, at least the least qualified to administer this spiritual and intellectual medicine? Our humble understanding would indicate that what Maulana Azman says, that all of your da'is, or my leadership, should be of that level, of spiritual and intellectual health, that they should be able to guide the Jamaat on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Sirat al-Mustaqim is a path of peace, a path of health, it's a path of Subul Salam, all that. So when it says da'i, so our humble understanding is that least qualified, based on that standard set by Maulana Azman's Farman, is the one, as if you name it in today's language, a spiritual insurance agent of Maulana Hazrat Imam alayhi salam, that they would be able to not themselves understand the Sirat al-Mustaqim in all details around it, and also make the Jamaat understand it. Let's carry on, please. So when it comes to Qalb Salim, that Hazrat Ibrahim Salam came to Allah only with Qalb Salim. There's no other way. That means in Hazrat Ibrahim Salam, it's not limited to the prophets. That's the beauty of Ismaili Mazhab. All because of the Imam of the time, the true Imam of the time. He is the source, he's of all the ilmul yaqeen, ainul yaqeen, haqqul yaqeen, all the barakat, all types of health. And we could benefit from that if we stay in, not out. The more we stay in, the higher our spiritual and intellectual health. No out. The moment we go out, things fall down. And we lose the battle and the headquarter, the qalb. That's the most important thing. That's the lovely term, qalbi salim. And as it was said earlier, that not only he is the qalbi on the pa'il, he makes other hearts qalbi salim too. That's the power. That's the beauty of this mazhab. It's not on the hypothesis of what Dr. Buzurgwar, Dr. Faqih Muhammad Zaid says, hocus pocus. No. So everything is logical. Everything is perfectly makes sense. All we need a good obedience, kamil obedience of the Imam of the time, and try to understand his firmans directly, also in the light of the teachings of the peers and hujjas and all this. We understand all makes sense. Please let me know if the time is up. I think it's 8 o'clock.
If you have more content, few minutes you can take more, but if you're not, then we are ready. It's okay.
There is this part is related to this, and it was taken from the lecture, the most recent lecture of Dr. Faqih Muhammad Zaid Sahib, like Paths of Peace. But it's going to be, I think, let's start here, because this is going to take another 30-40 minutes, I think, to cover this. But we're going to stop this with that note, that the central message of today's lecture, or the essence of the whole book, if you will, of that Qur'ani Ilaj, or any books you pick up, Let's remember this, that wisdom, especially the fresh wisdom in the Pharaohs of the Imam of the time, is like that precious, that essence that help us elevate our souls and intellect right away. Let's remember that Maulana Azhar Imam says in his Farman, in Diamond Jubilee Farman in Pakistan, that I want you to have success and elevation, and elevation and more elevation. With knowledge, all that, we can have some success here and there, but we need some kind of shortcut. The wisdom gives us a kind of shortcut, gives us the essence of the knowledge. So we need to get elevated. And Maulana Azhar Imam has that power, but it all depends on our intention, purity of our intention, speech, and actions. All this should be within the ethics of Islam, which is the ethics of Ismailis. The ethics of Ismailis is the ethics of Islam. True submission at all times. When that happens, doesn't matter. We're working, talking, eating, sleeping. Everything counts as ibadat. Everything is prayer. In such a way that every cell of our body should be engaged. To understand that, because the whole body is in the grip of ruhi haywani, animal soul, if you will. How do we know that? Based on the teachings of Allama Sahib Quddusallahu Sirrahu, that when, let's say we go in the jungle, we get scared, we feel that some kind of feeling in all our body, or we fast, don't eat for 1 day or 2 days, we feel that weakness all over our body. Or we pour some cold water and shower on us. All our body feels that, the hair in our body rises. If this animal soul is all everywhere, so when the subdue process of that animal soul, that spiritual health, that intellectual health, when it starts happening right in the center, in the headquarters, in the heart, but it carries on to every single part of our body, every single cell of our body. So that subdue process doesn't stay limited to the heart. If the heart pumps the whole body, gives life to the whole body, so the subdue process, or what you call the analysis, subjugation of the animal soul, will happen throughout the body. If that wouldn't be the case, Maulana Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam would not include every part of the body in that prayer, Dua Nur. Definitely it starts with the heart, but it goes deep inside every of our bones. So that when that process starts, that would be a standard. Let's say that's the standard of the health, that when we do all the zikr, everything, all our body, tan, man, done, gets engaged or not. If not, we need to work harder. We need to elevate our souls with the blessings of Maulana Azhar Imam's farmans, guidance, hand holding. It's going to take time. It definitely is going to take time. Even it takes all life, but we need to reach there. So Qalbi Salim. That's our target. That's the essence of our this central point of this today's talk. I don't know we will be there tomorrow or not. We hope that we're going to live longer based on the Farman Mubarak, longevity. But let's be grateful to every moment that we have, and make this target Aqli Salim, Qalbi Salim, and fall in love with this. But we need to know the details, all that, how to fall in love with this, develop that understanding, all that, and go for this Qalbi Salim. It is Imam's Qalbi Salim, but at the same time, it is ours. That with humility, with a sense of gratitude. And I would say Mubarak to you all for going after the Silmul Yaqeen and all that zikr, fikr. Inshallah, may Maulana Azhar Imam help us at each and every step. More luminous, more attractive, with wisdom, and elevate our souls towards the Subul Salam, Subulana, Siratul Mustaqim, Qalbi Salim. What you name it is just one thing, is love of the Imam of the time. When that comes in, it burns all the negative things. So we got to very careful with, and love has always something to do with the heart. So above everything else, the love of the Imam of the time, and find out the details, what makes that love stronger, and go for that. And inshallah, if there's our humble prayers that may all humankind get cured spiritually and intellectually. If they don't cure, it's not that we get cured ourselves alone. No, it's a good wish, goodwill for the whole humankind, because all the human creation is Allah's family. Yali Madad Yana, then please forgive me for showing my shortcomings. It's my first time using the GoToMeeting, and probably first official lecture in English, and all these broken pieces here and there. Please forgive me. And Yali Madad, may all be granted at one point or another, all the time, with this blessings of Qalbi Salim in the porticles first. Then the totality would come at the time. Yali Madad, Yali Madad.
Ali Madad, subhanallah, subhanallah, Sultan. You did a wonderful, amazing job. You spoke very beautifully, very eloquently. All the connections which you built were amazing. I did receive some questions, Sultan, and I do realize that you've not been able to finish because it felt like that you were setting the stage to talk about the chapter. And we can give you another day to come and talk about the chapter itself, because this was, as my friend says here, it was a beautiful and a powerful lecture. So you did an amazing job. And you know, I also liked it, Sultan, and somebody else said it too, that it was a very interesting that you said spiritual insurance agent. I laughed. I said, wow, I never thought of that. That was beautiful.
This is the blessings. This is the blessings of radiation of this beautiful, pure soul and intelligence over all this audience. It's not one way. Spirituality and intellectuality, we got to understand this, how these things work. It's beautifully mentioned in the book of Qur'ani Minar. I don't think it's been translated in English. It's only spread out in all books of Allama Qudus, but in Qur'ani Minar is one of the good books. So the way it works, it's the reflection of the purity of the souls of intellects of all this audience. It goes up to the Qalbi Salim. It makes things happen. It's not like prepare something, do something, and say no. It's the true reflection of the purity of the souls of all audience here. Otherwise, I'm nothing.
Shukran lillah walhamdulillah, shukran lillah walhamdulillah. So the question I actually got was very simple question when you were talking about Qalbi Salim, and you mentioned that we need to stay in, we should not stay out. If we are out, we've lost the battle. So what do you mean by that? Can you a little bit elaborate on it, please?
If I'm not mistaken, Maulana Aziman at one point said that in Islam, in and out is not acceptable. Like practice faith, then go out, don't practice. So in and out is not acceptable. That translating into the language of the Quran, making connection with Surah Al-Shifa and Surah Al-Fatiha, is there are three categories. An'amta alayhim, ghayr al-maghzubi alayhim, wal al-zalim. So three categories. So either we are in, or God forbid, we could go out. So when it says ghayr al-maghzubi wal al-zalim, the maghzub is the worst one. So that's not curable based on the teachings of Allama Qudus. But wal al-zalim may go astray here and there. So when we read the Quran, because Quran is ours, Imam is ours, the esoteric meaning of Quran is all ours. So we should not think that, oh, غَيْرُ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ means other people. No. Because what Maulana Imam looks at the Mu'mineen and Mu'minat, especially we think that we recognize him, then he doesn't use the telescope or a big something. He uses the spiritual laser microscope on our niyat, qawl, fail. So it's going to work very minutely, and for a lot of people, Sirat al-Mustaqim does not exist based on that microscopic thing. It's through the blessings of the Imam of the time that exists for some. So let's make it short that it's our prayer, and we need to level up our ilm al-yaqeen's level, spiritual and intellectual health, so that we know every day we go out. in, out, in, out. So as Imam says, it's not acceptable anymore. So once means 10 man done, with 10 man done, we are in. If we are in with the body, but our mind is doing something else, in the language of haqiqat, speaking in the light of the teaching of the peers and hujjats, we commit disobedience, if you will, in simple terms, but in the strictly speaking, we commit shirk in what do you call outside of people. I leave that to everybody's interpretation, but so that we don't want to go to غير المغضوب ولا الظالم. We want to stay in أنعمت عليهم all the time. That's the point. Sorry, please forgive me if I offend any person with this kind of talk.
Yeah, this, we can deliver a whole lecture on what you just mentioned. But subhanAllah, beautiful connection. You also spoke about a farman. A friend is asking if you have that reference handy, if you can share, please. The farman which you mentioned, Islamabad 2017. Do you have the reference with you right now?
I think if everybody has, I hope everybody has this Diamond Jubilee Farman, Mubarak.
From the book, yeah.
18, I think it's the first check, that's first 10 farmans, if you will. That's a homework. My apology again. You'll find that thing that success and elevation, more elevation.
Yes, I've heard that from Antu, yes.
Yeah, so elevation, more elevation. So Maulana Azimam is so kind. He is setting the standard for because of the requirement of all of us, inshallah. This is our intention to develop our spiritual intellectual health to that level of a da'i. So to be able, what tomorrow, today, this guidance all for smiling, just for Murisa of Imam Sham. But this knowledge it's not gonna stay there. It's Maulana Azimam's divine mission. This is the mission of our office of Imamat. وَأَشْرَقَتِ الْأَرْضُ بِنُورِ رَبِّهَا. So for that, the Mu'mineen and Mu'minat gonna jump in with Allah's help and guide the whole humankind. What about if tomorrow says, oh, my Jamaat, I'm just saying, please don't, just for the sake of this discussion. What if Maulana Azman would say, my Jamaat should be able to guide the humankind on Sirat al-Mustaqim? Were we expecting that Maulana Azman would make such a farman in Toronto that my leaders in Jamaat should be able to guide the Jamaat on Sirat al-Mustaqim? We're not expecting. But what if Maulana Azman, he's the boss, he's the Rabbul Alameen, he knows what he's doing, his divine mission is going to carry on, whether we contribute in or not. So just I'm saying, please don't call me. What if tomorrow, Maulana Azman says that my Jamaat should be able to guide the humankind, the whole humankind on Sirat al-Mustaqim? Because there's no other way. Salvation for all people. So Jamaat should be a standard ilm al-yaqeen and the spiritual health. And Allama Qudus one time mentioned that even if we do a lot of ibadat, with the obligatory ibadat and a lot of nawafil, a lot of additional prayers, but that, well, salvation is guaranteed. We get salvation. But darajat, ranks would go up. Ranks would go up with wisdom, knowledge and wisdom, ilmu hikmah. So we got to give a lot of importance to this ilm al-yaqeen. Once ilm al-yaqeen gets to that level, that all this shirk association and all those small things come towards in our thoughts, on our way, attacking people, because shaitan is going to attack in two forms, ins or jinn, in the form of humankind or thought, all that stuff. So we need to develop that shield, that defense from Hilm al-Yaqeen, all that our Ismi Azam should be to that level strong, that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam had, that all these negative thoughts would be food for our Ismi Azam. Even if they remember, we need to remember one thing. This is a kulya. Kulya means a formula. There's a principle in the Quran. وَسِعْنَا كُلِّ شَيْءٍ رَحْمَةً وَإِلْمًا. There is rahmah in ilm, blessings and knowledge in every single thing. When there is rahmah and ilm in every single thing, even in shaitan there is blessings and knowledge. But we need to find how to get that out of that by subduing the nafsi amara, nur would come out of that as a result, which would give birth to nafs al-lawama. The more we subdue that nafs amara, the more nur, light, would come as a nafs al-lawama. And once the nafs al-lawama gets stronger and stronger by the blessings of Maulana Azimam, then that makes the path towards nafs mutmaina or aql salim or iman kamil or qalb salim, whatever you like it, in the language of love, whatever you may say that. Ya alim.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. We are not letting you go yet. So there is one more question and then we'll let you go. So actually you've been answering that question, but it's been asked the other way around. The way you've been speaking, it's other way around. So you've been telling us that we have to have Qalb Salim and Iman Kamil to be able to connect, Tan Man Dhan se connect, right? So the question is, how do I heal myself if I have Qalb Salim? My Qalb Salim, how does it help me heal?
I hope my humble tried that Qalb Salim is the Qalb of Imam of the time. So we don't have Qalb Salim. That's way high. That's the level of Haqqul Yaqeen. Iman Kamil is of the prophets, is the Imams. So we are in the stage of Iman in Naqis and just Iman in Rajeh. We're Rujhan. We're just trying to get a better health spiritually, faithfully, intellectually. So we're in the more, for the majority of us, all of us, Iman Rajeh. Iman Kamil is that of Imam of the time. So we're not there. So we got to, and how it is going to work, how it's going to help us to go towards Qalb Salim, reach there. Pir Nasir Khusraw says that Sham paye ilm bayad gudar. Like a candle burns and gives light, we should burn, like do that kind of burning inside after the knowledge. That without knowledge we cannot recognize Allah. So see the importance of that. And so then if knowledge or hikmat, wisdom is, that's the main thing, how do we go about it? How do we get it? Pir Nasir answers that in another poem. Andak ilm yabad nafs chun ali buad. Andak means little by little. Ilm, knowledge. Andak ilm yabad. Yabad is from finding, yaftan. Nafs chun ali buad. The nafs which is ali, pure, like leveled up, good health, spiritually, intellectually, day by day, by constant zikr, seeking knowledge, all that the essence of the nafs amara comes out better as light, knowledge, all that. So andak ilm. So a little by little, because we don't know much, we gotta start a little by little. We can't jump to the Qalb Salim or the Haqqul Yaqeen there. It's way there. For us, take her. She's turning off the light. My daughter is 2 years old. She's turning off the light on me. So andak ilm yabad nafs chunali. That's the condition, that nafs should be pious, ali, muttaqi, parizgar. The more this piety is numerous ranks, the highest is Qalb Salim, the lowest is mustajib. Qatra qatra jama gardad ongahi darya shad. Drop by drop it gets collected and forms a river. Once our health, spiritual health, intellectual health, knowledge, all that forms into the river, it's not going to stop. It's going to reach the ocean. So a little by little, and we be grateful with all that. We have everything, all the means, everything. We need the wisdom to understand it, absorb it, internalize it, and go about that Qalb Salim. Develop that love, that bond with that. And inshallah, Maulana Azimam, based on the parameters of everybody's life, everybody's situation is different. Based on that situation, there will be tests and trials at each and every step. If we claim that we love him, then he provides the means to love him. At the same time, as tests and trials part of that, it makes it sweeter. Sometimes it may appear bitter, but end of that is sweeter. It's a good result. So we go about that, and little by little, gratefulness, humility. Humility is the key. Maulana Azam has a lot of farmans. Remember, humility is the key. Humility, it's easy to say than done. Oh my goodness, it's so, that's the whole thing. If you understand that and we could apply that, everything is solved. But that humility is something that we do you remember the Maulana Azam says, qualify yourself, re-qualify and re-qualify yourself. It also applies to our faith. Every day we need to re-qualify our faith to stay in. If you don't re-qualify, like the heart pumps the blood and nutrients in the blood all times, doesn't stop. The same, our soul and intellect needs to be refreshed at all times. Refresh, re-qualify. I hope I'm not confusing anybody here. Okay.
So Sultan, I've been typing because people are asking quite a few things and they're loving your answers. They are loving you. I think we do need you to come back, please, because you have not even started to talk about the standard of the health, and everybody's enjoying the way you're speaking, your examples, your connection. It's amazing. We had a blast today. And I would like to extend another invitation to you on behalf of all my friends here who are loving you and they're here till late. So we'll set up the time. But right now, I think I just hear your brief comment about what you've been telling us. I think we need to build a connection because it's important that we should not leave this question just like that. So one of the friends said here that tasbih for health is al-shafi. Another friend says, yes, Ya Ali Allah Shafi is one of the tasbih for healing. If we connect our tongue and heart in oneness with this tasbih. And what you've been talking about is not tasbih, actually ilmul yaqeen. And I have been talking about it that there are so many types of zikr. One could be al-Shafi, which is just calling upon his name, one of the beautiful name. But you've been talking about ilmi zikr, ilmi learning. So would you like to comment that how do we reconcile this? We do know about tasbih and zikr, and then you are talking about ilmul yaqeen. Is it part or is it different totally?
I try humbly to answer the question. Without the knowledge, ilm al-yaqeen, it's going to be a lot of very difficult. Yes, ilm al-yaqeen by definition is yaqeen, certainty. When there's certainty, there's no clouds, there's no whys, there's no hows, there's no this and that tasbih or this tasbih. Every tasbih connects it. When we let's say, give an example of this physical world, and if you remember, Buzurgawar Dr. Fakir Muhammad Zaisab gave a lecture that's recently, that in reference to Sayyidina al-Mu'id Fiddin Shirazi, that an-nuru aslul wujud, that nur is the origin of everything. Nur, even in this physical world, in this solar system, the sun is the origin of everything. You take the sun out of the equation, everything's done. We charge our phones, cell phones. We charge all this computer, all this power, electricity, laundry, everything is because of the sun. So everything, when you look at that from the angle of the wisdom, from angle of shukurguzari, everything goes back to the sun. If in physical way, everything goes back to the sun. The other way around, this is going to take us our discussion to other ways too, but there's a lot of verses in the Quran that we could talk. In one of those verses in the Quran, it says that Alam taraw anna Allah sakhara lakum ma fi samawati wa ma fil arz wa asbagha alaykum ni'amahu zahirata wa batina. That don't you see that Allah has subdued all the whatever is in the heaven and whatever is in the earth, and has completed his exoteric, if you will, and esoteric ni'amat bounties. How the exoteric bounties or zahiri bounties got completed? Well, he has given us all this solar system. Based on the solar system, so I don't want to go into that, but based on that perfect system that like, it's got a solar system, everything, but all the actions happen on the earth. Not sun just spreads light, energy, heat, all that, but all the actions happen here on the earth, around the earth. If physical bounties are completed due to this solar system, and we know that Allah has founded his religion based on that physical. That's what the hadith we said. It's also in the book of Wajidin. Based on that, there must be, similar to this physical system, there should be a religious, spiritual solar system that the Imam, with all his angels, greatest angels, and hierarchy, all that stuff. So with all that, then spiritually things get completed. So that's a good example to that. But if we are sick, God forbid, we are sick spiritually and intellectually, it doesn't matter which tasbih we pick, which zikr we do, it's not going to help. But with knowledge and ilm al-yaqeen, a true, like fresh ilm al-yaqeen. What is ilm al-yaqeen? The definition is in the Quran. If you knew the ilm al-yaqeen, you would see that there are hell. Oh, it gives that kind of basirat, like inner eyes, that you could see the hell. Humbly speaking, honestly speaking, in the language of haqiqat, the more we know, the more we realize that we are the wrongdoers. We haven't been grateful to the way we should be. First and foremost, we find ourselves in hell is on the way to heaven. That's what it is. Everybody has to go through it. And the more we know, the more we realize that we have been the wrongdoers. That takes ilm al-yaqeen, the basirat, the inside, the inner eyes of ilm al-yaqeen to realize that. It's not that ilm al-yaqeen would enable you to see that all the other people is in the hell. No. First and foremost, we find ourselves, because we are in separation. We're not in direct contact. So if you're not in direct contact with the truth, with the Imam of the time, with the Qalb Salim, with Aql Salim, Maulana Baqir alayhi salam says that whatever is between you and him that prevents you from directly having contact with him, that's your shaitan. Strictly speaking, in the light of the teaching of the Ma'rifat. But with reference to Shariat and Tariqat, we are in the heaven. See? So levels of understanding, levels of health, spiritual health, intellectual health. Once we get there, inshallah, with ilm al-yaqeen health intellectually, we cannot get intellectually healthy unless we're spiritually healthy. It goes two side by side. There's spiritual health particles, there's intellectual health particles. Thing that we cannot call rank, that's just nur in nur. Below that, everything is in duality. So spiritual health, how do we develop that? Let's say this. We are here, that we need the higher spiritual particles. We need the higher intellectual particles. Once we get, let's say, through bandagi, ibadat, prayers, tasbih, zikr, we can't get there unless you have the motivation that we know the target. Well, what's our target? So we read, we understand ilm al-yaqeen. Oh my goodness, this is Qalb Salim, this all the secrets, all the spiritual particles. Even right now as we talk, we use this air. Science calls it oxygen. We don't call it oxygen first. We call it the blessings of Mawla first. Then we may call it science oxygen. Because it's with his blessings that this is the air oxygen. We drink water. That's the basic element of life. But we don't call it water first. We call it everything from the angle of ibadat, prayer, being a mu'min and mu'minat. That's the identity. We call it blessings of Mawla Baba. Then we call it water later, then becomes ibadat. Otherwise, no. We exercise, we look after our health, we probably eat broccoli, ginger juice in the morning, a smoothie, all that to have a good body, good health, to enjoy the life. That's but idolatry, but parasti in the language of haqiqat. Unless that's with the intention to serve his creation, to serve Mawla Papa. When that's the intention, that's the knowledge, that's the wisdom, then having that good body, healthy body is ibadah. Everything becomes ibadah. So we got to look at it from that angle of inside, and the blessings. Outside is azab, difficulty, hatred, all the sickness is outside. We got to stay inside to develop that health in higher, elevation, more elevation. That's needed every day.
To summarize, my brother, you are saying that even though if we were to do ibadat, zikr, tasbih, whatever we do, but if we do not have the knowledge, it may not be as beneficial as it can be. So thank you so much for giving such a beautiful, detailed answer with beautiful connections and references. You are just amazing, Sultan. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. Today, we will take your leave today, Sultan, but I will get in touch with you and we will have to now talk about the chapter 2. So I would like to thank all the friends who stayed till late. Thank you so much, friends. Inshallah, we will continue this beautiful journey and we'll have Sultan again here talking to us. Thank you so much. Yali Madad, Yali Madad,
Yali Madad,
Sultan. Yali Madad, Sultan, and Yali Madad to your daughter.
Yali Madad. Thank you for your seva.
Yeah, it's very
Yali Madad, both of you. Yali Madad, Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Thank you so much.
Yali Madad.
All very energizing. Yali Madad to all.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad, Yali Madad.